All right. Hi, preschoolers and hi, Preschool 3 families. I hope you're all doing well. Um, I hope you're taking some time to spend a little bit of time outside. It's been really, really lovely and sunny and warm the last 2 days. I know that I've been trying to find some time for self care. And even if it's 5, 10 minutes, I go outside in my backyard, sit on my yoga mat and try to do some stretching, or even just sit in a chair and just lay in the sunlight. I mean, that just sounds really ideal after being inside all day long. So I hope you're all taking care of yourselves, and I miss seeing you every day. And I have a story for the children today that I really want to read because they really like to read this book in the classroom. So today we're going to be reading Caps for Sale, a tale of a peddler, some monkeys, and their monkey business. And their monkey business. I see the page is blue. I wonder why it's blue. Remember, we're going to think about that while we're going through the book. Why did the author and illustrator decide to make this page blue? Caps for sale. He has all of his caps stacked up on top of his head. Look, it's a really sunny day there too. The sun's out. I see very little clouds. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like any ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First he had his own checked cap, and then a bunch of gray caps, and then a bunch of brown caps, and then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top he had a bunch of, what color is this? Red. He had a bunch of red caps. Next time we see his caps, we should count them. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as to not upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." Let's count them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 caps if you include his checkered cap at the bottom. 17 caps. I wonder what numbers are in the number 17. Can you think about that? The number 1 and the number 7. 17. One morning he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. And when the author says not to upset his caps, he means he doesn't want the caps to fall off of his head. I hope you guys can see this okay. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he. I hear some rhyming in here too. And he sat down very slowly under the tree, and he leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. And then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own checkered cap, and then the gray caps, and then the brown caps, and then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very, very top. Must be tired from all that walking he did. They were all there, so he went to sleep, and he slept for a very long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. You might feel that way after you wake up from a nap sometimes too. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checkered cap. How do you think he felt about that? After he realized that his caps were no longer on his head, he probably started to get really worried. He looked up to the right of him. No caps. He looked up to the left of him. No caps. He looked to the back of him. No caps. He looked behind the tree. No caps. What's left? What direction is left? There's one direction he hasn't looked yet. And then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw in the tree? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray, or a brown, or a blue, or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. You monkeys, you, he said, shaking a finger at them, you give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, This made the peddler angry. So he shook both hands and said at them, You monkeys, you give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, Now he felt quite angry. He stomped his foot and he said, You monkeys, you better give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stomped their feet back at him and said, By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stomped both his feet and shouted, You monkeys, you better give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stomped both their feet back at him and said, What does it seem like the monkeys are doing? They're repeating everything that the handler is saying or doing. At last he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it to the ground, and began to walk away. He's over it. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. What do you think they're going to do with their caps? If they're repeating everything that the handler is or the peddler is repeating, then what do you think they're going to do next? I think I called him a handler earlier, but he's a peddler. And all the gray caps and all the brown caps and all the blue caps and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. You were right. They were going to throw them down also. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checkered cap, and then the gray caps, and then the brown caps, and then the blue caps, and then the red caps on the very, very top. If you look at his face, he seems happy about that. He's happy he has his caps back. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to the town calling, Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. The end. Before we end this story, we have to check to see if it's the same. Do you remember? We've done this before at group time. Can you remember if it's the same or different? All right, 1, 2, 3. It's the same. The same. All right, preschoolers, take care, and I'll see you really soon for another story.